Good morning. So I am just doing a real quick um, live because my Azure Standard order is due on Wednesday. So I'm finalizing some of the stuff, but I have gotten a lot of questions recently about Azure Standard, and so I thought since it's coming up, it was on my mind. Um, so I thought I have done these before, but I know that um, there's new people. There's a fluctuation. People leave and people come. And so um, I figured it would be a good time to just quickly go over with you a little bit about Azure Standard in case you're wondering. Like I said, since my drop is next week, my cutoff is on Wednesday. So um, Azure Standard. So they are an Oregon-based company that originally started out because their family realized that they felt better when they ate organic grown produce and minimally processed food. Shocking, right? Because that's what God intended us to eat. um, and so they wanted to start growing their own produce, doing it organically, the way that God intended it to be. And it just kind of grew from there. If you go to their website, you can read more about the story. But they are a family owned company, which is huge for me. If you've been following me for any amount of time, you know that supporting American owned companies is big for me. Family owned companies, small businesses, things family owned, all those good things. So, that is why I started ordering from them, because they are a family owned company. They believe in good for you products. They have very strict standards. They are a faith based company as well. They are Christians. I don't know of what sector, but it doesn't matter, right? They believe in God, and that's wonderful. So, a lot of companies, especially in today's world, that is not true. So, part of why I decided to start following them and using them. So, what you do is you have your entire month, and your month isn't going to be like the 1st to the 30th or something like that. It's going to be whatever your month is when your order comes, to continue to add to your cart. And what I do is I add a few items and then I just go ahead and I check out, because that gives me that safety net that if I forget to check out, so Wednesday is my cutoff at like 6:04 p.m. or something like that. If Wednesday comes and I forget to check out, I don't get my order. So I just check out with just a few things in my cart, and then I continue to add to it. And that's really nice because you can add and take away for the entire month until your order closes. Once your order closes, you can't do anything with it. But you can add and take away, and you are not guaranteed to get things because you've checked out. I watch a lot of YouTube videos with Azure, and people get confused thinking if I order right away and I check out, those items are saved to me. That's not how it works. How it works is whatever orders are before yours get shopped first, as far as the shipping dates. So if this other city's ships before mine and someone orders all of the A2 milk or whatever it may be, and then comes time for my shipment and it's not there anymore, they're just not going to ship it to me. So that is something to keep in mind, that as with anywhere that you shop, there is the possibility of things not being in stock. I would say every order. There are a few things that I order that don't come. You can do a couple of things to help avoid that. One is you are going to get an email right before your order ships, and it's going to say these items are unlikely to ship. So you can just take them out of your cart, and then you know you're not going to get them. You can leave them in your cart because every once in a while you get notified that something's not going to come and it shows up anyways. So maybe their shipment came in early or whatever it might be. So you could leave them in your cart. The other option you could do is if something says this is unlikely to ship, you can go ahead and you can change the size or the quantity or whatever it might be. So let's say you wanted to buy a 50 pound bag of oats, and you got the alert that says, sorry, this item is unlikely to ship. You could go in and you could change it to 5 10-pound bags, or however it might be. You can change the sizing because sometimes there's more in stock of something else. Or let's say you were only going to get one bottle of ketchup and it's out of stock, but you can get an entire case. You could opt to do that, and then you're going to be set for a while. So there are ways around it. There's still no guarantee of what's going to get shipped. That does happen. But for what doesn't get shipped, you don't get charged for it. So when you check out, you aren't charged until they have shopped for your order, which typically happens the day after it ends or maybe a couple days after. So I'll check out at the beginning of the month just so that way I know I'm good. And then I'll continue to add and take away. And then I just plan on, so if mine is due this Wednesday, I just plan on that Wednesday I'm going to be charged. I'm not going to probably be charged, but just to be safe, I say that I'm going to be charged that day. A lot of people, I think, get confused on how that works, and so I hope that explains that well enough for you, that's kind of how that works. So you can add and take away the whole month. You can change your quantities. Every month in your order, you'll get a sales flyer. So my order will come probably on the 13th. And so in that one, I will get a June sales flyer. So I got this May one and my April order. And so this talks about all the things that are going to be on sale, the new products. They also have really great articles in it. Like, let's see. I think it was the one before, but it talks about how you can basically grow your own medicine, things like that. So these little catalogs are really nice to get. I think you could choose not to get one if you don't want to, but I like to get it. I'm a in paper kind of person, so I like to see things. It's really fun to see what's new and coming. So May 1st, some of the new stuff came out and the new sales started, so I went in and I added in a few more things that were new and that started on sale yesterday. So I added them to my order so that way I could get some of the May sales, some of the April sales. You get whatever price it is when you add it to your cart. So that's kind of how that works. Now, if something doesn't ship in your order, you can add it to your next order. You can continue just to keep adding it until it does ship. You'll see that certain things are constantly sold out. I tried to buy milk powder for several months and it kept being out of stock. I've tried to get their organic white vinegar and it's out of stock, and now that they had that fire, which you aren't aware of, if you aren't aware of, they had a fire at one of their locations. I guess it was like their headquarters, and in there they had their bottling processing, so a lot of their bottled products that they make are going to be out for a little while. So like the vinegar that I kept adding is not going to ship this time either, but that's okay. So just, I love Azure. I just think you need to have some flexibility. But that's the same thing as when you go to the store, is that you can go to the store and there might not be anything on the shelf. So I would rather support a better company and still run the risk of some things being out of stock. Although I'll tell you that for the most part, I really don't run into too many issues. If I'm looking at something and it'll tell me how many are in stock, if it's only got 15 in stock, I just might not choose to order it that month. It'll also tell you when more is due to be in stock. So if, let's say, my order is due the 4th, and let's say there was more to be in stock on the 5th, I could add that because more than likely it's going to get there before my order is shopped. So, you know, I just, people get really mad when things are out of stock with Azure, and they are amazing, but they still have supply issues, right? I mean, they're still getting some of their products from other companies, or, you know, they could be affected by droughts or like the fire. So I think it's just grace is really important, and I would still rather attempt to order everything I can from Azure because of who they are as a company. And then whatever might not come, I can fill in elsewhere, or oftentimes I just don't need it. This is why I try to keep a very well-stocked pantry, is because you don't know what's going to be in stock when, you don't know what the prices are going to be. And so keeping a well-stocked pantry also allows for when things are not in stock, whether it be a traditional store or Azure Standard. If you have a well-stocked pantry, if something doesn't come, it's not that big of a deal. And I typically will meal plan around what I get. So I'm not meal planning and then ordering things and hoping I'm getting them. I am ordering things that I know that we'll use, and then I'm meal planning basing on what we get in our actual shipment, and then I fill in at the store for other things. So that's kind of how it works. So as far as how the drop works, my drop is very, very nice and convenient, and I realize that not everybody has this same option for their drop, but mine is a coffee shop, and they'll actually hold your items for you. And so if I can't get there the day that the truck comes, that's okay. They'll hold it for me because they've got a freezer and things like that. And they actually don't want you to be there when the truck comes. It's too... Can you make sure you pick that up, honey? It's too hectic if you have everyone there at their location. So they actually will tell you when you can come and pick it up after the truck has come. Most of them, you have to be there when the truck comes and help unload it, and then you take your items. So research it, look and see what your drop requires. There are ones that hold it for you, there are ones that don't, and if you don't have cold items, maybe they'll hold it for you. Just kind of depends. So the entire truck is either refrigerated or freezer. So there are sections in it. So everything you order will come cold. That was kind of surprising to me at first. So like if you order an olive oil, it's going to come solidified. No. Yeah, solidified. So it's going to come and you're going to be like, what's going on? And then you just let it sit at room temperature and it goes back to normal. So it's just their way of ensuring that everything comes in the best state that it can. You can order produce through them, and I have had good luck and I have had bad luck. So their onions have been excellent. I've ordered potatoes 3 times now. 2 out of the 3 were great. 1, I think this was my fault. Typically I store my potatoes on the counter and they sprouted really, really fast. And so the next 2 times I kept them in my refrigerator and they stayed well the whole time. So, knowing that, I just know that if I get potatoes from Azure, they're going to need to be able to fit into my fridge. I have ordered the blood oranges in every order. One time they came smashed and rotten, and I was able to contact them and they gave me a credit and it was no problem. These are shipping across the country. We're talking about a week in a refrigerated truck. So it is bound to happen that sometimes things are going to come and they're not going to be in as good a quality as what you would expect. But I will tell you that Azure is amazing, and the few times I've had produce that wasn't good, they gave me a credit, no questions asked. So, like my grapefruits came, one was rotten in it, but of course that spreads to all of them. So, like, that was not good. So anyways, they gave me a credit. I just didn't have my grapefruit. I grabbed it from somewhere else. So, there are certain produce that I probably wouldn't order from them. Anything that's like a root vegetable or stuff like that that lasts a long time, I don't mind. Even citrus typically is pretty hardy. I mean, they last a long time in the fridge. So I think there was just a fluke. But like I said, they've been really, really good about it. And so I haven't run into any issues in losing money. Just, again, having a little bit of grace. But for me, it's really about supporting a better company. They have very, very strict standards. You can go on there and you can read all of the ingredients that they will never allow. They, in fact, actually don't even sell pork items. So if that is of your religious beliefs to not eat pork, they don't sell anything with pork in it. So, yeah. So I think that is like a good overview. Like I said, I get asked a lot of times. One of the big questions I get asked is it more expensive? And I think that's a really like loaded question, in the fact that what you're buying from them is non-GMO, mostly organic. So if you buy conventional stuff, you buy store brand snacks, or, great value bleached white flour, Azure Standards, organic, unbleached, ground differently flour is going to seem more expensive to you. That's just the way it is. But if you eat organically and you try to buy things from smaller companies already or things like that, it's not going to seem more expensive. I can tell you right now that Whole Foods is probably way more expensive than Azure Standard. And Whole Foods isn't owned by Amazon, which we have an Amazon account. I hate it. But I don't want to give them any more money than I absolutely have to, right? So for me, supporting this family American-owned company, spending maybe a little more than I would at like Walmart or Target is totally worth it. I like that they're transparent about the country of origin. So some of their stuff comes from countries that I wouldn't buy from. And they still may be organic. And some of the things you don't have a choice. There are certain things that just aren't grown here, so you don't have a choice. But on their description, it tells you where they came from. And so I appreciate that I can make that choice for my family. They do source a lot from family farms and local companies. But of course, as I said, other things have to come from other countries, especially, in non-growing seasons from certain places, and there are herbs and things that we don't grow. And like sugar is really hard to find. That's US. I have found it elsewhere, but a lot of it's from like Costa Rica, things like that. So, which I'll buy things from there. But, and like produce comes from Mexico, things like that. So, I just like that they are transparent about it. And you can make the choices for your family. But they are very clear on their mission, on their like rules. If you sell through them, you have to sign a contract saying that your products are never going to have this item, this item, this item, this item. So you can feel really good about what you buy from them being good quality. And you don't have to buy in bulk. You can buy single items. Like I have bought just a single bottle of ketchup, but if I buy 3 bottles, it's going to be cheaper per bottle than if I just buy one. Same thing with if you just buy a pound of something, it's going to be more expensive than if you buy 10 pounds of it. Not always. There's been a few things where they're pretty much the same price, but it will break it down for you per ounce, per pound, whatever it might be, so you can kind of see what type of size you want to get to, get the best for your dollar. So at the top, when you are shopping, so let's just say for the ketchup, for example, their Nature Valley ketchup, is like their brand ketchup, so it would be like the generic brand. It's organic. So you could buy just 1 bottle, you could buy 3 bottles, or you could probably buy a case. So it kind of breaks it down. Each item comes in various sizes, so then you can choose which one you want, at what price. If it has a long shelf life and you can afford it, buy the one that gives you the cheapest per ounce, because that's the best way to do it, and then it's always on hand. And if you've been following, I have been trying to stock our pantry with good quality shelf-stable food, like dry beans and pastas and good quality wheats and things like that, just in case. You never know when it's going to hit the fan. And so it's good to have. And you also don't know what could happen in your life. We have been in a place where we lost our income overnight and we were going to a food shelf. So I don't ever want to be in that position again if I can help it. And so having a pantry stocked with 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, a year, whatever you can fit. We can't fit a year's worth of food in our tiny little townhouse, so I can't do that. But I shoot for 3 months at least. So we might not eat a ton of variety. We might not eat everything that we would choose to eat, but we could eat and we wouldn't starve. So Azure is a good way to get bulk groceries. Have a lot of gluten-free stuff, a lot of dairy-free stuff. They are very careful with like their peanut allergen stuff. That stuff is processed completely separate, so there's no cross-contamination. I actually saw someone's YouTube who called and inquired about it because they had severe peanut allergies, and they were very good about explaining the process to them. So if allergies are a problem for you, I think there's a lot of things that you could find on here. I know a lot of people who are vegan use them. So that's just kind of my 2 cents on Azure. If you use my link, which if you're on Instagram and watching this, if you go to my highlights on my stories, you can grab my link from there. Otherwise, if you message me, I will be glad to send you a link. If you're on YouTube, I'm going to put it in the description of the video when I post this. And if you use my link, I do get a $25 credit. I'm not an affiliate. Anyone who signs up can share that link with their friends and family, and they would get $25. So it just helps on the grocery budget a little bit. So if you found that what I share is useful and you want to use my link, obviously I appreciate that. It blesses our family. You don't have to. You can go right to Azure and create your own account without using a link. That's totally fine. But if you do sign up, you'll have a link that you can then share with friends and family. And so, yeah, I obviously appreciate if you use ours. Every little bit helps, especially stay-at-home homeschooling mama trying to feed my family on a budget, good real food. So if you have other questions though, please ask. And when we get our haul on probably around the 13th, I of course will do a video like I always do to share with you what we got, why we got it, things like that. You can create an account, check out the prices, find out where your drop is. The one other thing I did forget to include is that most places have a delivery fee. I think if you're in Oregon, you don't, but here in Minnesota we do, and I want to say it's about 8% of my order, so it's not by weight, which is really nice, because if you ordered 400 pounds of oats, you're only going to pay 8% of your total, not your weight, which is huge for shipping, especially when you're ordering large bulk items like that. So you're basically splitting the shipping costs with everyone whose stuff is on that truck, which is great. It cuts down on shipping. So that's another thing that to keep in mind, is that little bit of a shipping cost does add to it, but I still find that it is the cheapest place that I can get good quality organic or non-GMO products from a family-owned American company, which are all my priority. We do still occasionally buy things at Costco, but I have definitely lessened what I buy at Costco, and I buy the bulk of our food from Azure, and then I just fill in typically with Fresh Thyme. But if you shop organically, for sure check out Azure. Even if you don't, and you're just looking, you're just starting to dabble in finding better for you products for your family, check them out, because the non-GMO stuff, everything's non-GMO. So even if you don't buy organic, you can still get good stuff. They also carry transitional stuff, which means the farm is not yet certified. It takes like 3 years for you to be certified organic. So in the meantime, in those 3 years, they're using all organic farming techniques, but they can't be certified yet. So you can get transitional stuff, which is essentially organic, but at a cheaper price because they can't label it as organic. So there you go. All right. Thank you guys. Have a great day. Blessings.